Hey guys, welcome to Love, Life, and Politics, where I talk about love, life, and mostly politics. So, we're in week 3 of April. I think we're around a 34, 35 day mark of, lockdown over this the cove. But I'm going to get over the top 3 things that really caught my attention. I really wanted to talk about that happened this week and then some extra stuff to sprinkle in at the end. So, let's start. First thing I really want to talk about is Nancy Pelosi. She put out, she was on a host show. I forgot who it was, some kind of late night guy that clearly isn't that funny because I don't remember their name. And she had an appearance and he was asking her questions. He was like, yeah, this is the episode of The Cribs that I've always wanted to see. Anyways, you guys have probably already seen it, but she essentially gives a little bit of a tour of her kitchen. Shows her 2 giant, $24,000 fridges that are filled with ice cream. And apparently they're expensive ice cream. It really doesn't matter to me if they're expensive or not, but she's over here showing off her plentifulness, that she's got everything that she needs in her cush mansion. And meanwhile, she's stopping a $250 million $250 billion relief package for small businesses because that fund has run out. So that fund was essentially for businesses to make sure they keep their employees on the payroll so that they have a job to come back to when things start opening back up. Caveat, I'm not a big fan at all of government giving people money, but when the problem of why you're not making money is because the government has shut stuff down, that's when I'm like, okay, it makes sense that they pay to keep your stuff in order if they're the reason why you're not making any money. Anyways, she goes on this show and immediately just gets roasted. She was super out of touch with that. It really wasn't a smart move. I know she was probably just trying to be sociable, try to get some airtime, look like that person in government that's normal, except she didn't notice how unnormal it is to be that filthy rich. Especially in a state that is all about inequality, even though the inequality in that state is probably the worst of all states between the separation of rich people and poor people. Anyways, Trump, man, whoever is doing the ads for Trump are absolutely phenomenal. I think every single person that runs as a Republican who actually wants to run from this point on needs to use that person because it's absolutely beautiful. So essentially they play the ad of her showing off her expensive ice cream in her expensive kitchen with her expensive refrigerators. Roll that with all the people out there with their businesses being shut down, not being able to put anything in their fridge because, they're not making money. Long lines of people waiting for food at food banks and stuff like that. And just shows how out of touch she is. And in the end, it's like, let them eat ice cream, Nancy Antoinette. I saw that and I was like, that has to be one of the most perfect campaign ads I have ever seen. And she didn't have to go on the defensive. She had to go on the defensive. And it's just been looking really bad for them because essentially what they've been trying to do is trying to stay back, don't do anything. But every time Trump makes something that can be perceived as a mistake, jump on him saying that he didn't do enough, even though, he's been doing quite a lot before they were even doing anything, and yet they're still telling him he didn't do enough. So while he was doing stuff, they were saying, hey, you're going too far. Don't do it. And then later on, they're like, whoa, bro, you didn't do enough when you were doing that thing that you were doing. It's like, come on. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's disingenuous, and I really do hope eventually whenever the normal media dies out because people are no longer listening to them, they're on YouTube and they're on podcasting because of course everybody has their personal biases, but when you don't have a corporate agenda, it helps you be more real and more authentic to what you're trying to do, which is what I'm trying to do here. Anyways, that's that part. Second thing I really want to talk about was the lockdown protests and the economy. So you guys have probably seen that a lot of people have been protesting peacefully. It hasn't been it's not Antifa. We ain't being crazy out here. I would say they're probably more conservative than liberal. A lot of people who have jobs that they need to go back to because I'm not trying to be biased, but I would say if I had to pick between conservatives and liberals, which one of them are more likely to work harder, I would probably say the conservative, because liberals have that, not 100%, but they have kind of that stereotype of being college kids who think the world should pay for all the mistakes that they've ever made type thing, you know? But conservatives are typically the ones that, oh no, they decided not to go to college and either start a business or just go straight into the workforce to provide for the family. Stuff like that. Not saying all liberals are like that. Not saying all conservatives are absolutely hardworking people. But if you're being honest, I would say that you probably have to look at it like that. Anyways, they're out there protesting, and the media is, good Lord, they are making these people look absolutely horrible. But they didn't say a dang thing whenever they were doing rent strikes. Nothing. You hear nothing. As soon as it's conservative people, they try to label the whole conservative movement as people who just don't care about health and this and that and this and that. And it's like, come on. People want to work. People want to put food on their table. And I'm young. And I've essentially been working 2 days a week. And I'm going to be real honest with you. I understand why people who in retirement just are still working, even though they don't need to. So, not really many of them don't need to, because people are not doing good with their money while they're young, which y'all need to do. But even though they don't need to, they're out there working. It's because it's hella boring just staying in your house. As a kid, you were like, days off, awesome. But then you're out there with the pool, chilling with the homies. But when you're home by yourself, it is not fun at all. It's hella boring. There's not enough anime and movies to keep me entertained, all right? Anyways, the economy is just taking a major hit. As of today, it was like 26 million people are filing for unemployment or filed for unemployment. And that is freaking ridiculous. It shouldn't be happening. And it's tough because Trump has done a really good job in building the economy. And I don't care what anybody out there tries to say otherwise. If you're being 100, you've got to admit that under Trump, the economy has just been absolutely chugging it, bro. Like growth after growth after growth. And keep in mind, I hate when people try to give your boy Obama credit, but he did say there's no way that what's happening right now would happen, and Trump would need a magic wand for it to come to fruition. Anyways, the economy has been taking a major hit. Things are slowly, economy's starting to get back up because of the stimulus, but if we keep it shut down like this, it's only going to get worse. And the difficulties that businesses are going through, and some of them having to shut down temporarily, is eventually going to become permanent. And to go back to the whole protesting, if you really think about it, it's probably going to cause more deaths if we would be shut down for an entire year than the COVID times 5. Because think about it. That's people who no longer working, which means there's people out there who are no longer running their farms, no longer taking care of resources that we all need to survive, because these businesses are now having to shut down because they can't have employees, because the government is telling them you can't have employees, or they can't pay their employees. So why would you work if they're not going to be able to pay you, because there's no money for them to pay you? And it's just, people tend to be more suicidal, be more poor, and just all out be more depressed when they don't have something to do. They don't have a job. They have that lack of purpose in their life. And that's going to long-term create more deaths. People are going to die from that a whole lot more. Domestic violence and apparently suicides are up during this time. And it's like, my gosh, open stuff back up. And yeah, that's pretty much, it's kind of what I talked about with the lockdown and the economy. I think we need to open back up, because studies are coming out starting to show that a lot more people have this, and the death rate is either 2 times, or was it 50% more deadly than the flu as of now, because a whole lot more people are getting it and being asymptomatic. But you're not allowed to say that, because apparently that's fake news, even though like more and more studies are coming out to show that. Anyways, the third thing that I really wanted to talk about was the COVID treatment, hydroxychloroquine. New study comes out. One new study comes out, and apparently, it had some bad results for hydroxychloroquine, and it's quite crazy because many other stories and studies, many other countries running these studies and going over the story with people have been ridiculously positive for this drug in terms of treating. It's not a special cure or anything like that, but it's been working really well. Even a Democratic, I forget, she was in government. I don't know if she was a senator or House of Representatives, not sure, but she was going through the cove and just being wrecked by it, just being absolutely wrecked by it. And then she takes this medicine because she heard it from Trump, and within hours was feeling million times better. And this is not from me, this is from her. And this is a black woman, number one, and number two, a Democrat. So you can't just be like, oh, she's hella biased. Because, I mean, she would normally conventionally be biased on your side. And it's like, nobody's talking about that. But as soon as one study, with lots of complications, so to speak, comes out that shows that it doesn't work, it's plastered everywhere. If that doesn't show you media bias, or at the very least a want for the media to show things are not going great instead of some of the positive moves that are making, because it might have to be attributed to the president and his administration, it's crazy to me. Like, that's disingenuous AF. Anyways, this study, a couple of complications with it. Actually, one major one. It gave them multiple times the dosage that an average person who is given hydroxychloroquine would get. So they're essentially giving them much bigger doses than anybody who actually is on this treatment, on this regimen, would ever get. And they were starting to see adverse results. And it's like, think about it. You give anybody too much of something, there's going to be adverse results. If you give somebody too much water, there's going to be adverse results. If you pump somebody full of oxygen, adverse results. Period. So they use that one study that gives, I mean, clearly they have to see what would happen if they gave, I'm not necessarily clearly, but I'm sure they wanted to see what would happen if they upped the dosage, if it was going to be positive or negative effects. And it was negative. They gave them way more than the average person would get, than any normal person actually at all would get. And that's the one that they want to show to everybody. And it really goes to show how disingenuous that the media is. And what's going to suck, because apparently Texas has already started using this bad boy real hard and having people use it to get better, is later on, they're going to have to admit that this drug that they have been saying is ineffective, is horrible, doesn't work. Pretty soon, everybody in the States is going to be using it, and it's going to be helping thousands. I don't know about millions. I don't think enough people are going to be symptomatic for that number. Thousands of people are going to be using this medicine that they were derailing, that they're going to have to be forced because they put this whole drug on Trump. So when they get this bad study, they said the drug that Trump recommended people use, blah, 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 blah. Cool. So now whenever it does start working, guess what you're going to have to admit? That was Trump's drug. Yeah. The drug that Trump was recommending, you were derailing him for, is the one that has ended up being one of the most effective treatments for the cove. Ain't that gonna effing suck? Anyways, those are the top 3 things that I really want to talk about. Now a couple of extras. These things I didn't think were at the top of my list, but war. A lot of people are starting to act a fool out there in the seas, such as China, Iran, making some dumb stuff, flexing on our ships. And Trump, was it yesterday? That would be Wednesday. He was like, listen, if they keep on playing around, coming within so-and-so feet and antagonizing you, blow them mofos to smithereens. Period. Bar none. No joke. Get rid of them. If they think this is a joke, you don't just play with a lion and not expect to get shredded. They're not playing anymore, and I respect that. And then China's starting to mobilize over there in the South China Sea. Starting to say this territory is mine, because they know certain countries are not flexing as much as they used to because they're having to deal with the COVID, mostly the US. And Trump was like, bump that, sends a bunch of ships out there, let them know, listen, this is not a joke. Don't be trying to take advantage of people when something you started, China, you started, is giving us all these problems. Anyways, next, Kim Jong-un. That's a little bit of extra. Apparently, word on the street is the boy is sick. Kimi Jong-un is sick, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think a Christian man should ever want bad things to befall others, but when he's, a dictator, having his people live completely secluded from the world, probably completely making sure nobody can speak about God or Christianity, because it's not good for a dictatorship or socialism, because you want your people to be uniform and not have something that's higher than the government. And I think they think he's a deity, something about him not pooping and stuff like that. Anyways, your boy's sick. That's going to cause a whole lot of trouble if he ends up, dying, croaking, hasta la vista kind of thing. Because that's the buffer. That's the buffer between China and South Korea. South Korea is, our peoples, we cool with them. And a lot of U.S. bases and stuff over there. And if North Korea starts acting a fool, China's going to want to step in and make sure that they have that buffer between us. But ain't no telling what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some of the people in upper government that, put a little something whenever he was getting his surgery. Did a little something to get rid of him. Because, whenever you're in that type of government, there's always somebody who wants to be at the tippy top, and they will do whatever it takes to get there. Anyways, then the third thing I really want to talk about is China. Yeah, pretty much the last two extras I was talking about, China popped up. China has lost their MFing mind. They had to re-lock down the Hanwoo, which is where the cove started, because, a bunch of the cases started coming back up. And it's like, wow. The WHO was saying, hey, yo, China's on top of it, bro. Like, they know what they doing. Like, we don't need to worry about it. In January, they were like, dude, there's no human to human contact, man. Like, this is not being transmitted from human to human. Just don't worry about it. And then come to realize China's been lying from the get-go. And apparently there's a lab somewhere where this thing probably started. Listen. This is going to be really good for the president. It's going to be sad for the lives that are lost, but it's going to be good for the president. And I hate to say this, good for the country to now realize what's really going on in the world. And it sucks that it's because of complete incompetence on multiple levels. And I'm not saying Trump was perfect in his handling, but I have to say that when he was doing stuff to take care of this, the opposite side was telling him he was doing too much. The opposite side was telling everybody to chill, go chill in Chinatown, go to the gym, don't worry about it. So you can't, in terms of what he was doing, he was number one. He was on top of it before anybody in the rest of government, and our government most definitely, was doing anything, period, bar none. So you can hate him, say he should have done more, but you can't really be throwing blame at him while you were working against him when he was trying to do what he could do. Anyways, we need to do something about China, like on the real. Either it's going to be tariffs. It sucks. I hate tariffs because, I don't want, essentially it's like a tax that's passed on to the consumer, and guess who's the consumer? Us. But shoot, we need to get the freak out of China, bro. Trump's been saying that since 2011. He was like, dude, we need to get out of China. Nobody listens. Runs on it for presidency, starts flexing on China. Everybody's hating on him. Now, look at it. We got all this important stuff that is exclusively, or at least almost exclusively, made in a country that we're borderline going to go to war with, and are at least two opposing superpowers. I don't think they're considered a superpower, but major economies in the world. It's just, I think this is going to help our country start being more, what's that word whenever you don't talk with, you don't mess with other people out there, when they're more seclusionary. Man, you know the word I'm looking for. Anyways, y'all figure it out in the comment section. Anyways, that's that. If you enjoyed the video, sorry I don't have any animations yet. I ain't got that kind of money. Hopefully whenever this channel grows, I'll be able to afford better things. I'll be able to see my super dark face. And yeah, thank you. If you enjoyed, please like, share, subscribe. I will eventually start putting avenues so I can start getting some income so I can better the channel and do more, eventually start a podcast. And I appreciate anybody who's watching now, who will watch in the future, and has looked at my couple of videos in the past. Shout out to my book. I have a book out there that if you want to support the channel, taking it, sharing it, reading it would help. It's called Why I, a Young Black Man, Voted for Trump. Check it out. That would help greatly for now. Thank you. Have a blessed one and stay safe out there.